नमो ब्रह्मण्य देवाय गो ब्राह्मण हिताय च जगद्दिताय कृष्णाय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्य परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः। गो ब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं। लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु। The age of Kali has arrived. The Pandavas, along with Draupadi, have departed. A glorious era comes to an end. In Adhyaya 16 of Prathama Skanda, Suta recounts the rule of Parikshit. Parikshit takes over from Yudhishthira and begins to rule Hastinapura. Parikshit, endowed with noble qualities, rules righteously, travels the length and breadth of the world, conquers newer kingdoms, and establishes order in society. But unfortunately, order and Kali Yuga are always in conflict. With the arrival of Kali, disorder starts to seep in. Adharma starts to ascend. Parikshit, as he travels all over Bharata, gets to meet with people and is very pleased to listen to the glories of the Pandavas and, more importantly, listen to glories of Krishna. As he keeps traveling all over, he comes across a very strange incident, a startling experience for Parikshit. He witnesses a very strange encounter, an encounter between a bull and a cow. A bull and a cow come together in a conversation, and strangely, a single-legged bull, a bull which has lost 3 of its legs, and a cow which is grief-stricken, which is suffering. Dharma padaikena charan vichayam upalabhyagam pruchati smashruvadanam vivatsam iva mataram. They are none other than Dharma and Dharani. Dharma has manifested in the form of a bull. Dharani, Bhumata, has manifested in the form of a cow. Dharma, having lost 3 pillars, the bull therefore is single-legged. And Dharani, Prithvi, in the form of a cow, get into a conversation. It is important to understand why Dharma has manifested in the form of a bull and Dharani has manifested in the form of a cow. The cow and the bull play a very important role or integral parts of Sanatana Dharma. They are revered. They are considered sacred. Very, very significant, not only for material prosperity, but also for spiritual welfare. The cow is the symbol of selfless giving. It selflessly gives everything. Just like Mother Earth, the cow is known for abundantly giving, giving more than taking. That is the reason why the cow, which is also considered as a mother, also is many a times considered as the very embodiment of Mother Earth. The cow is celebrated with feminine qualities of loyalty, selflessness, motherhood. The bull, on the other hand, is celebrated with masculine qualities of strength, endurance, power. And the bull is used to plow the land to produce vegetables and grains, the necessities of life. Therefore, the bull is considered as a father. And hence we see here dharma manifesting in the form of a bull and dharani manifesting in the form of a cow. Prichati smashruvadanam vivatsam iva mataru. The cow is grief-stricken, has lost all its luster. It's faded. It's in a terrible shape and is experiencing excruciating pain. And that cow, Mother Earth in the form of a cow, encounters dharma in the form of a bull, which has lost 3 of its legs and standing precariously on only 1 leg. And then dharma addresses dharani. The bull addresses the cow. Dharma uvacha kachit bhadre anamayam atmanaste vichayasi rayateshan mukhena alakshaye bhavatim antarathim dure bhagdum shochasi kanchananubha. Oh mother, is your health all right? Are you doing okay? You seem to be not your usual self. Something seems to be wrong with you. You have lost all your luster. All your beauty is gone. You are faded. You look so terrible. What is the reason? What is wrong with you? Have you lost someone dear? Has someone dear to you gone far away and therefore you are seriously thinking about that loss, about the separation? There must be something wrong with you. And that is the reason why you are so grief-stricken. What is the reason for this? Then Dharma, the bull, continues. Pade nyunam shochati maikapadam atmanam va vishalai bhokshamanam aho suradin hritayajna bhagan prajautasvim maghavati avarshati. Pade nyunam shochati maikapadam, it says. Dharma, looking at Dharani, says, are you worried looking at me? Looking at me having lost my 3 legs. Does that worry you? Is that the reason for your grief? Or are you worried about what is about to ensue? Atmanam va vishalai bhokshamanam. With the dawn of Kali, are you worried that sooner or later wicked men degenerated humans are going to exploit you, are going to eat you. Atmanam va vishalair bhokshyamana. Are you worried that degenerated humans soon would start exploiting your resources, misusing your resources, start to eat you? Are you worried about the meat eaters who are going to exploit all your resources and who are going to vandalize you? A very powerful statement that Dharma makes to Dharani. This is in a way a prognosis, a message that Dharma is also giving, that with the dawn of Kali, as Adharma ascends, meat eating would become so rampant that in order to fulfill bodily needs, humans are going to exploit indiscriminately the lives and resources on this planet. If we have to kind of assess the significance of the statement, we need to take a pause and look at some of the facts today. While we all easily understand the moral and ethical aspects of meat eating, avoidance of meat eating due to moral and ethical reasons and spiritual reasons, many a times the facts of the impact of meat eating on the environment, on the resources of this planet, many a times gets totally ignored. If we look at few statistics, it would completely shock us on this rampant, indiscriminate way of life and living of the humans on this planet. 200 million animals get killed every day for the sake of meeting the needs of the human stomach. 200 million animals, which is 75 billion a year. Which means in a span of 1.5 years, more animals are killed than the total number of humans who ever walked on this planet in 200,000 history of humanity. 83% of Earth's farmlands are used to feed livestock, which then are used to feed the human stomach. 83% of Earth's farmlands. 27% of global fresh water is used to cater to the needs of meat industry. A startling and shocking fact is, for 1 kilo of beef, 25 kilos of grain and 15,000 liters of water are used. For 1 kilo of chicken, 4,300 liters of water are used. Untrammeled usage of Earth's resources just because of human greed. Atmanam va vishalai bhoksyamanam. So therefore, Dharma is asking Dharani, are you anxious? Are you worried that you are going to be brutally exploited by wicked people who have lost their heads? Those who are degenerated, devoid of moral and ethical values, who are driven only by greed and nothing else. And are you worried about yajnas being stopped and therefore all the devatas not getting their oblations? And therefore, are you anxious about famine, scarcity of water, and hence are you in grief. In a way, dharma is foretelling what is going to happen on the earth as Kali progresses. Kim Kshatra Bandhun Kalinopasrishtan Rashtrani Vatai Avaropitani Itastato Vasana Pana Vasaha Snana Yavayonmukha Jivalokam. Dharma continues to question Dharani. Kim Kshatra Bandhun Kalinopasrishtan. Are you worried about Kshatriyas who are going to completely begin to misrule? Kshatriyas who will not follow the Kshatriya Dharma. Are you worried about the Varna Dharma collapsing completely? When Varna Dharma collapses, the order in the society completely collapses. Are you worried about the ensuing disorder in society, where Kshatriyas who are supposed to protect the might, who have to exercise their might in order to establish the right, if they start doing things which are wrong, instead of protecting people, if they start to loot and exploit them, are you worried about this transition that is going to happen in the society? Or are you worried about people who are more and more going to be carried away by their animalistic instincts, completely forgetting morality? Itastato vasana phanavasaha snana yavayonmukha jivalokam. Are you worried about people conducting their activities just to fulfill their bodily needs, when pleasure dominates everything else, when pleasure, bodily pleasure alone becomes life's priority, then there is only chaos in society, only disorder. Krishna in the Gita says, Namam dushkritino mudaha prapadyante naradamaha mayaya apurata jnanam asurim bhavamashutaha. He says, 4 kinds of people do not surrender to me. Because Arjuna is keen to know, if surrender to you is the solution to all the ills, then why do people not surrender to you, hey Krishna? He asks. Krishna responds to Arjuna, says, hey Arjuna, there are 4 kinds of people. And as Kali Yuga progresses, they will be in majority. These 4 kinds of people cannot surrender to me, and they will not surrender to me. Who are these 4 kinds of people? Mudaha, those who are ignorant. Naradamaha, those people who cater to their animalistic instincts. They are carried away by their lower nature, forgetting about their higher nature. Mayaya apurata jnana, those who are deluded and therefore are gripped with perversity. Asuri, those who are demoniac in nature. They cannot surrender to Krishna. When they cannot surrender to Krishna, they can only plunder Mother Earth. Therefore, here, very clearly, Dharma is asking Dharani, are you anxious, worried? Are you afflicted by the thoughts that people will degenerate and they will start to behave, humans will start to behave like animals and nothing more? Now, today we talk of human rights. And when we have to define human rights, we start talking about right to bodily protection, bodily maintenance. But unfortunately, we get this definition of human rights completely wrong. Right to bodily protection, right to bodily maintenance is also applicable to animals. What is that which differentiates? What is that right which is unique to the humans, that differentiates the humans from the animal kingdom? It is the right to spiritual enlightenment. It is the right to know the meaning and purpose of life. Right to inquiry on our true identity. Right to inquiry on our final destination. If the right to spiritual enlightenment is not taken seriously, if that right, which is the fundamental right, is violated, then every other right that we talk of, right to equality, right to life and liberty, right to freedom of expression, all of these rights are meaningless. If the right to spiritual enlightenment is not guaranteed, and if it is violated, no other right that we can talk about can actually be guaranteed. So therefore here, Dharma is addressing Dharani and saying, are you worried that the right to spiritual enlightenment is going to be violated? Are you worried that humans are just going to behave like animals? It is very important to recognize the difference. When it comes to fulfilling bodily needs, bodily drives, animals have no other option. They can choose how to fulfill the bodily drives. But the humans can choose whether to fulfill the bodily drives. There is a fundamental difference here. The animals can choose only how to fulfill the bodily drives, whereas the humans can choose whether to fulfill the bodily drives. A tiger can choose how to fulfill its hunger. It can only choose how to fulfill. But a human can to choose whether to fulfill my hunger or not. A tiger is not going to observe Ekadashi. A human has a choice whether to observe Ekadashi or not. So therefore, it is the unique endowment that is given to humans when it gets misused or not used at all. That is when the degeneration happens, and therefore Dharma is asking Dharani, itastato vasana panavasaha snana yavayon mukha jivanokam. If humans start just living, addressing the baser instincts, fulfilling bodily pleasures, obviously, Mother Earth, I know you would be terribly upset, you would be terribly worried. Also, Dharma looks at Dharani and says, possibly I also can sympathize with you, and I also can know the reason why you are also grieving. Is it because you're missing Krishna? Yadvamvate bhuri bharatavaratara kritavatarasya hare dharitri antarhitasya smarati virishtha karmani nirvana vilambitani. Till very recently, just like me and everyone else, you too have been relishing the Atimanusha Cheshtitas of Bhagavan. Narayana took the avatar of Krishna and he ensured that your burden is lightened. And he has been entertaining you and all of us with his Cheshtitas. And just the contemplation on his Cheshtitas alone secures his moksha. And now he is also departed, and therefore you possibly are also worried because of that separation. Now Dharani, the cow, responds to Dharma, the bull. Dharanyo vacha bhavan hivedadat sarvam yanmam dharmanu pritchasi chaturbir vartase yena padai loka sukhavahe. Hey Dharma Devata, thanks for asking these questions. Finally, somebody is asking me. Somebody is at least trying to address some of these anxieties that I have. I will definitely answer each and every question of yours. And I also, looking at you, I'm also concerned. You precariously standing on only one leg, with all your three legs completely cut off. Till recently, Bhagavan Krishna, Bhagavan Hari as Krishna was there, ensuring the protection of all your legs. Now that protection is also gone. Chaturbir Bhattaseyena Pade Loka Sukavahi. When you were having all the four legs, you were also spreading happiness. In Dharma, you were there everywhere on this planet. You were in dominance, you were dominating, and you're spreading happiness. When there is Dharma prevailing everywhere, obviously happiness also prevails. Everyone on this planet was all very happy. And now that seems to be no longer the case. And the root cause of that, it all begins. All this begins with Bhagavan's departure to Vaikuntha, which has now given room for Kali to start dominating. Till he was there, Kali was just waiting. Now that Bhagavan has departed, Kali is slowly dominating. Kali Purusha is taking over. Now, that reservoir of Kalyana Gunas, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, is no longer on this planet. He has gone back to his abode. And now, Dharani says, those divine qualities of the Lord, his gunas, which were the source of strength for all of us, we are now missing him, the repository of the treasury of noble qualities. It's interesting note here that Mother Earth is going to list out 38 qualities of Krishna. Now, we all know that Ramayana begins with a detailed account on Rama's Kalyana Gunas. Onvasmin Sampradam Loke Gunavan Kastavidyavan Dharmakyascha Kritagnyascha Satyavakyo Dridam Pratah Charitrena Chako Yuktaha Satyavakyo. So the Narada gives a list of 16 qualities. And that is how Ramayana begins. It is a lesser known fact that in Bhagavatam, Dharani celebrates Krishna's 38 gunas, not just 16 gunas. And Dharani says that repository of Kalyana Gunas is no longer here with us. And Mother Earth, the cow, starts to celebrate 38 gunas of Krishna. Satyam, Shaucham, Daya, Kshantir, Tyaga, Santosha, Ajjavam, Shabodama, Tapsamyam, Titiksho, Vartishrutam, Jnanam, Viraktir, Aishwaryam, Shauryam, Tejo, Balam, Smritihi. Swatantriyam Kaushalam Kanti Dhairyam Ardavam Evacha Pragalpyam Prashrayashilam Sahaojo Balam Bagaha Gambhiryam Stairyam Astikyam Kirtir Bano Anahankritihi Ete Chanyecha Bhagavan Nityayatra Mahagunehi Pratya Bhatvam Nichadir Naviyantisma Karhichit Tenaham Gunapratena Srinivasena Samprata Shochavirhitam lokam papmana kalinekshitam. Now that repository of auspicious qualities, one who is devoid of any blemishes, with him being no longer there, this Kali Purusha seems to have got new courage and he is slowly trying to take over. Krishna, one who is endowed with divine qualities, auspicious Kalyana Gunas, Satyam, truthfulness, shaucham, purity, daya, intolerance of others' unhappiness, kshanti, patience, tyagaha, generosity, santosha, self-contentment, arjava, straightforwardness, shamaha, mind mastery, damaha, mastery of the senses, tapaha, austerity, samyam, equanimity, titiksha, tolerance, upariti, endurance, fortitude, sutam, for one who follows scriptural injunctions. He not only talks, but he also walks the talk. Jnanam, knowledge, virakti, vairagya, detachment from sense enjoyment, aishwaryam, lordship, saumya, Shauryam, courage, Tejaha, brilliance, prowess, Balam, the capability to render everything possible, Smritihi, memory, remembrance of one's duty, Swatantriyam, total independence, Kaushalam, dexterity, Kanti, magnetic beauty, Dhairyam, freedom from all kinds of disturbances, Madhavam, gentleness, kind-heartedness, Pragalpyam, power of the intellect, Prashraya, politeness, Sheelam, goodness of nature, Sahaha, determination, Ojaha, perfect knowledge, Balam, strength, Bagaha, excellence, Gambhiryam, joyfulness, Stairyam, firmness, Astikyam, faith, faith in the Vedas, Kirtihi, fame, Manaha, one who is adorable and always is worshipable, Anahankritaha, one who is without any iota of pride. That repository of all these Kalyana Gunas, with his departure now, Kali is now on the ascendancy, and that is the root cause of all the ills. The ascendancy of the Kali Purusha is the root cause of all the ills. Now, as Dharma and Dharani are having this conversation, Parikshit lands up there. This conversation between Dharma in the form of a bull and Dharani in the form of a cow is happening on the banks of Saraswati in Kurukshetra. And Parikshit reaches the place and encounters the sight. Now, there is something that suddenly happens which shakes Parikshit. All of a sudden, as Dharma and Dharani are having this conversation, as the bull and the cow are talking to each other, there is a wicked Shudra who, in the form of a Kshatriya, arrives at that place and begins to mercilessly beat up both the bull and the cow, begins to torture them. The bull, which is already only one leg, is beaten up mercilessly, and the cow, which is already faded and grief-stricken, is also tortured. This is none other than the Kali Purusha, the imposter, impersonation. Here, very important to understand why Kali Purusha comes as an imposter here. Hypocrisy and perversity are the hallmarks of Kali. And that is the reason why here we see this happening. And as this torture begins, at the same time, Parikshit happens to come to the same place. And Parikshit then and there intervenes. He intervenes and stops this horrible torture. And he stops there and he assures both the bull and the cow of his protection. Parikshit is shocked. How can something so horrible happen in his kingdom? He looks at the impostor who is dressed as a Kshatriya but who is not a true Kshatriya. And he addresses him and says, "Who are you? How dare you attempt such atrocities in my kingdom? How can you even attempt to torture and kill a cow and a bull? This is something which cannot be tolerated in my kingdom. And then Parikshit looks at the cow and then says, do not grieve. I am here. I shall protect you. I give you my word. I am here to protect you. Nothing untoward henceforth will happen. And he also looks at the bull and gives this total assurance of protection and says, you are already one-legged, and this is something which is unimaginable, this kind of a torture, this kind of a violence. And I'm going to stop this, and I shall ensure that your welfare will be taken care of. And then he looks at the bull and he says, you seem to be suffering a lot. What is the cause? Because he's looking at the bull with only one leg, and this bull was recently beaten up. Parikshit looks at the bull and asks, what is the cause of your suffering? Now, very interestingly, Dharma, who has manifested as the bull, does not answer, it is the Kali Purusha. It is quite apparent, it is the Kali Purusha who has been violently beating up the bull. So the cause of the suffering should be this Kali Purusha. But the bull doesn't give the answer this way. Not also what Parikshit expected. Dharma uvacha navayam klesha bijani yatasyu purushashabha purusham tam vijanimo vakya veda vimohitaha. Dharma says, hey Parikshit, hey Purushashabha, you wanted to know the cause of my suffering, but let me tell you, it is almost impossible to come up with the cause for any suffering. One gets bewildered if one starts to find out the cause of suffering. One can at best only identify the immediate cause, but it is very, very difficult to identify the root cause. Here, the Navayam Klesha Bijani, Navayam Klesha Bijani, Klesha Bija, Klesha suffering, Klesha Bijani, the root cause of the suffering. While it could be apparent, the immediate cause could be apparent, but that is not the root cause. One can easily get bewildered by analyzing the various causes for suffering. There is not one simple cause. One cannot just point out the cause of a suffering that very easily. Vakya Veda Vimohitaha. When we look at the great philosophers who talk about the causes for suffering, we are even more bewildered, because every philosopher seems to be coming up with their own reasons. We see many people talking about the cause for suffering, but unfortunately, they seem to list out several causes, and there seem to be a very divergent point of view when it comes to finding out the cause for suffering. Kechit vikalpavasana ahur atmanavatmanaha daivamanye apare karma swabhavam apare prabhu. There are those who do not admit duality, and therefore they deny all kinds of experiences, both pleasures and pains. They deny all kinds of experiences. Therefore, for them, the experience called suffering is unreal. And there are those who consider the cosmic forces, the planets, as the cause for suffering. Then there are those who consider one's karma as the cause for suffering. There are others who, when asked what is the cause for suffering, they say swabhava, the material nature, is the cause for suffering. Then, of course, there are those, and maybe these are in the majority as well, those when they are asked what is the cause for suffering, point out to Bhagavan. He is the cause for suffering. So therefore, to find out the cause of suffering, Parikshit asked one simple question to the bull. Incidentally, Parikshit still does not know who this bull is. He only sees the bull, as a single-legged bull. And he sees the cow as a cow. He still does not know the true identity of this bull. Now, Parikshit simply asked, what is the cause of your suffering? And this bull is now giving a detailed explanation. Says, there is no way, it's not very easy, Maharaja, to come up with the cause for suffering. The root cause for suffering is not easy to find out. The problem is we only keep constantly blaming. When it comes to suffering, when we see all kinds of causes, we only engage in a blame game. And in the process of continuing to blame, we end up caught in this blame game all the time, and that doesn't help at all. So when one gets sick, if one starts to blame somebody else for passing on the infection, one can start blaming the doctor not being proactive in properly treating. One can start blaming the fellow patients who spread the infection. One can start blaming the hospital for not providing all the facilities. One can start blaming oneself for not properly adequately taking care. Endless. More important than the blame is to treat the disease on an urgent basis. Similarly, when there is a pain, when there is an adversity, there is no point in trying to analyze the various causes of this pain, various causes of this adversity. Analyze it and blame it. Mostly the blame is on many other factors, outside factors. That person, that thing, including God. And sometimes we also blame ourselves. Even that is also not healthy, because constant blaming of our own past actions also can result in unhealthy guilt. And this analysis paralysis will not address the situation, enable one to overcome the pain and the adversity, endure the suffering. And therefore, instead of blaming ignorantly, one should only blame ignorance. Because it is ignorance that covers our true identity. By nature, we are pure. There is no suffering. There are no afflictions whatsoever. Afflictions of all kinds, physical and mental, are only temporary. Only when we are ignorant of this fundamental fact is when it becomes difficult to endure. So therefore, we should only blame our own ignorance. It is ignorance that not only misdirects our actions, but it also misdirects our reactions. So we start to agonizingly blame various causes and miss out on treating the disease. And therefore here, the bull gives a detailed exposition to Parikshit on how it is almost impossible to analyze the various causes and come to the root cause. But even when we come to the root cause, which is nothing but misidentity, if the root cause has to be summarized and understood, it is just one simple word: misidentity. As long as there is misidentity, identification with the body, there is going to be no end for all these sufferings. Now, what is the point, the bull is saying, of doing all this analysis? The real point is to move forward to address how to treat this disease. And when the bull spoke thus, Parikshit understood who is the speaker. Parikshit understood that this is none other than Dharma himself, who has taken the form of the bull. Therefore, Parikshit addresses Dharma and says, now I understand what you say, and I am also worried for you. Dharma, you gloriously stood on 4 pillars. Now, the bull with the 4 legs represents Dharma with 4 pillars. You have now lost 3 pillars. You are deprived of the 3 pillars, or now you are shaking, standing on only 1 pillar. And therefore, it is my duty to protect you, to restore all the other 3 pillars. So Parikshit looks at Dharma, the bull, and says, Tapas Shaucham Daya Satyam iti Pada Krite Kritaha Adharmaschai Trayo Bhagnaha Smayasanga Madaistava. Hey Dharma, you are supported by 4 pillars. The 4 pillars of Dharma are Tapaha, Shaucham, Daya, Satyam. Iti Padai Krite Kritaha. The 4 legs of the bull stand for the 4 pillars of Dharma, and these 4 pillars on which Dharma resides are Tapaha, austerity, Shaucham, purity, cleanliness, Daya, compassion, Satyam, truthfulness. Austerity has to be understood here in the context of it being the pillar of Dharma. Austerity when it comes to performing our duties. Dharma here is one's duty. What does the pillar of austerity convey to us? We are all driven by our bodily needs, and the senses and the mind always crave for instant gratification. Instant gratification is the mantra. Here and now, I need to enjoy. If the senses and the mind are not mastered, then one is always driven towards instant gratification, always wanting short-term gains all the time. When we perform our duties, what really matters is the long-term happiness and not the short-term pleasures. Austerity is about exercising our will to discover that we have a willpower. It is about prioritizing long-term happiness over short-term pleasures. It is about telling the mind and the body that temporary pains should be endured for long-term gains. That is austerity, that is tapaha, that is discipline. Otherwise, there cannot be there cannot be true happiness that can be secured. There cannot be real success in life if one is always driven by the craving only for short-term gains all the time. If one is always driven by instant gratification, there cannot be true happiness in life. And therefore, the first leg of the bull of Dharma, the first leg of Dharma, the first pillar, austerity, stands for exercising our willpower to discover our will and prioritizing long-term happiness over short-term gains. Long-term gain or short-term want. The second, shaucham, can be understood as purity, can be understood as cleanliness. Now, it's very easy to understand shaucham when it comes to external purity of the body. But when we look at mental purity, we also need to understand there is another facet, another dimension to mental purity when it comes to, especially to dharma, doing our duty. It is about being organized, being systematic. If the mind is impure, the mind is disorganized. It is not systematic. One cannot perform one's duties in an organized way, in a step-by-step way, because progress can only happen one step at a time, in a very systematic, organized way. A mango from state of rawness to a state of ripeness has to progress step by step. It cannot be, if it is forced to ripe, such a ripe mango does not taste good. Shaucha here as a pillar of dharma is all about, not only about purity of body and mind, it is also about order, about systematic approach, orderliness in the mind. Daya, compassion, kindness, doing good for others, always keeping the welfare of others at the forefront. Now, there is one fundamental prerequisite for compassion, for daya, which we often miss out, which is self-correction. If I do not correct my own problems, I cannot stop being a pain to others. Where is compassion when I, in one way or the other, cause pain to others? Therefore, I need to necessarily know my own weaknesses and do self-correction. So daya here also starts with self-correction. That is the reason why Krishna also in the Gita says, what is the point of giving charity if one is not sattvic in nature? If one is tamasic and rajasic, no amount of charity is of any use. So compassion as a pillar of dharma begins with self-correction, and then that leads, and only then with self-correction, then only then we can really ensure total welfare of others. Satya is truthfulness, realizing the truth, the reality, the unchanging reality, which is the fragility of this world, of this universe. There is no point in trying to escape, in trying to ignore. This material world is fragile. The law of impermanence of everything has to be accepted. No amount of defense is going to help the cause. So therefore, the four pillars of dharma have ensured that dharma flourished across the nook and corner of the society. Parikshit says, those out of the four, the three pillars have been lost. Your three legs have been cut off. Adharmam staiva trayo bhagna smaya sangha madaistava, he says. Smaya sangha mada, have cut your three pillars. Smaya, pride, egotism. It is pride, rising pride in humans, arrogance. As Kali progresses, egotism also becomes stronger in the humans. Pride keeps us not just in ignorance, but also makes us ignorant of our ignorance. And when there is that ignorance of our ignorance, there cannot be austerity. Tapa cannot be practiced when one is ignorant. And that is the reason why Parikshit says, Smaya, the force of Smaya has destroyed the pillar of Tapaha. And thus, you have lost one leg, the first leg. Sangha, the force of Sangha, attachment to the wrong things, When there is this attachment to the wrong things, it causes impurity. It causes disorder in the mind. And it is this Sangha, this rise of Sangha, which is the cause for you losing your second leg of Shaucham. Madaha, intoxication. When one is intoxicated, when one is completely surrendered to one's baser instincts, one becomes completely selfish, and one really cannot look at the welfare of others. There can be no daya whatsoever. And therefore, this force of Mada has completely destroyed your third pillar. And you are now precariously standing on only one leg, the leg of Satya. And therefore, as the king, it is my duty to establish Dharma once again properly and to ensure that you regain all the three legs. All your three other pillars are also restored, and I am going to do that. And he looks at the cow and he realizes it is none other than Dharani. And he says, it is my duty to address your grief, to make you happy, to make you prosperous again. And therefore, it is my duty to arrest the rise of Kali. And Parikshit turns around and looks at Kali and he says, the only solution to this is to eliminate you, He Kali Purusha. Parikshit raises his sword and begins to attack. How Kali deals with Parikshit and what happens next, we will see in the next session. Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanam.